Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into this week's edition of Bull Ring Breakdown. And once again, a couple of week absence here for the race recap. But once again, we're on board with that. So I guess we got the race recap for June 21st. I want to remind everybody, please like and subscribe on the YouTube page, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Woodhall Raceway on Facebook, and Woodhall Raceway 64 on TikTok. I'm joined, like I am, I think, each week with Terry Pierce. Terry, how we doing today?
Doing good. How about yourself, Joe?
Good. I hate to complain because it's hot, so I'm going to try not to.
Oh, I hear you. I believe it or not, I worked outside all day long today. It was terrible. Like very seldom do I ever have to work outside, and today was one of them days I was stuck outside all day.
Yeah,
Just my luck.
yeah, it wasn't a very fun day to be outside, that's for sure.
No, definitely not.
Well, July 21st, June 21st, not July. I'm throwing away half the season. Kind of hard to believe we're already at the halfway point.
It is. It is. That's terrible. The weather is just not cooperated at all with us this year. That's for sure.
Right. So that was sponsored by Southern Tier Customs, S&D Pools, and Kuhn Ventures. Uh, Terry, I know you played sponsorship for the most of the night, so I'm not exactly sure how much you really caught, but I don't know. Maybe taking it from a fan's perspective might have given you a little bit of a different view of things.
Yes, absolutely. It does. Yeah, I did miss a lot of it because I did kick back and forth quite a bit throughout the night. I did take my work shirt and I wore that a couple different times throughout the night, back and forth. But yeah, I'll tell you something. Joe, we spend a lot of time, you and I, all of us on the board, we spend a lot of time securing sponsors throughout the year, right? And I'll tell you, for what you get in there as a sponsorship package is was really awesome for us the other night. For $500, and you get all these free passes. You get two free pit passes. You get a pizza. You get meal tickets in there. I mean, it's you go down on the track and hand out the plaques. It's well worth the $500.
Mhm.
I mean, of course there's three different tier levels that you can do, but that's the cheapest one, the $500 one. If you don't get your $500 worth out of that sponsorship night, there's something wrong because it's well worth it for everything you get. You get advertised on Facebook. I mean, it's great. It really is.
Right. So I guess one more thing before we get into the actual race recap. I do want to touch on the fact that we did have something happen in the pit area, and I did want to give everybody just an update that I think it's Katie Stone, the wife of Josh
Yes.
Stone, is that
Yes.
I guess she's okay, a little sore, no broken bones, so I guess that's good news. From what I heard it happened. I don't want to go into too much detail about it. It's not my place, but I just wanted to tell everybody that she is doing okay. A little sore, but nothing broken, nothing major.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, I want to hit on that just a little bit. Um, it was a it was a little mishap that happened in the pits, and she was hit by a truck. They were loading a race car and got hit. And earlier in the night, I did do the drivers meeting. In the drivers meeting, I explained to these guys that, a lot of times when you're in a race car, these race car drivers coming in and out of the pits, they can't see everything around them like we can in a normal car, right? So a couple of weeks ago, I actually seen a couple of people walk across right in front of a race car like they had the right of way, and that race car had to stop to let them go. And so I reminded everybody in the drivers meeting, you really got to be careful in the pits. You got to be diligent. Look at what your surroundings. Keep an eye open at all times. You never know what's going to happen. Thankfully, that she was shooken up a little bit. She was taken by ambulance, Corning Hospital, but she is fine. Like you said, she's very sore, but she's going to be all right. So we're
Yeah,
lucky.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I guess we can get on to we'll get on with the heat races here. So the Southern Tier Custom Late Models, they started off the night. Steve LeBaron picked up the win in heat race number one. Heat race number two, that was Jake Wilbur. I think Jake Wilbur said his second or third, fourth time there. So fast car as we'll find out later too. He was pretty stout. Did you watch
Yep.
these heats? I know that they're your class, so did you watch them?
Yeah, I did. I tried to. Yeah, I like I said, I was popping in and out all night long, but I tried to watch him. I can tell you a little bit about that. Jacob Wilbur. he actually raced a go-kart. He's come out, I believe he's coming out of the go-kart ranks right into a late model. And he's definitely picked it up quick and he had a stellar night, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So we'll go into the hometown excavation crate sportsman heat races, and I tell you, this was a good couple. Adam Taft and Kyle Leach picked up heat race wins, and you know they're kind of two guys I don't think either one would mind saying they're kind of on the lower tier of budget wise. So it's kind of nice to see them guys picking up the heat race wins.
Absolutely. They were both drivers had the much needed success that they needed for the night. I mean, both them guys have been struggling a little bit and they're both guys that you can't never count them out every week, you never know with them.
Right. Insinger Performance Modifieds, Jason Andrews, Ron Cartwright Jr., and Russell Morseman picked up uh, heat race wins. Now, I guess I should have made my way over to the pit area, but I'm not really. Are you too familiar with this Jason Andrews?
No, not really. No, I don't know a lot about him.
No, I know that he shows up every here and there and every once in a while, so nice to see him back and picking up a heat race win. Then we go to the Wicked Tees Quad C's. Um, Blake Snyder picked up the heat race win, in which what might be the heat race of the night or a heat race of the year so far between himself, Chris Woodard. Yeah, and I think there was a third car, but I can't remember which one. I can't
Uh,
remember if it was Wesley or if it was somebody else, but there was a
yeah,
very good heat race.
yeah, I can't remember either off the top of my head.
And Joe Gillespie, he picked up the second heat race win for the Quad C's. Uh, Joe Wilcox Performance Automatic Street Stocks, Brian Butler, Dan Gardner both picked up heat race wins. And Brian Butler showed a lot of speed.
He did. He did. And
A
here's
lot of
the thing
speed.
about Dan Gardner. They unloaded that car. They loaded it in the trailer, brought Woodall, unloaded it out of the trailer, and the car wouldn't start. They couldn't
Yep.
figure it out. They were all over that car. They were up there working all over it, trying to get it started. He missed the driver's meeting. He was able to come out and turn a couple laps and hot laps when they finally did get it started, but good for him.
Yeah. Badoo. So Lad Road Auto Hobby Stocks, Brandon Conklin, Scott Brown picking up heat race wins there. They're both veterans. I think the heat races were, boy, it seemed like they went over quick this week.
Yeah. Hmm.
So let's see here. What did we do then? We had well, I can't
Warriors.
remember the order, so I'm gonna go with the King of the Bull Ring first.
Well, we had the Warriors first.
The Warriors were before the Bull Ring.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so then we went with the Wicked Tees Warriors, where I don't have my thing in front of me, which I should, but you know how I operate sometimes around here.
Yep. It was Caden Thomas that won it.
Yeah, no, I know who won. I was trying to. I think Bella Morseman led for most of the race. Was what I was trying to.
Oh.
I couldn't remember if it was her or Courtney, and
Hmm.
but I think it was Bella, and she led most of the race. And they came to the white flag, and Caden Thomas, he uh he made a pretty good move to take the lead there as they took the white flag, and then he held her off to pick up his second consecutive feature win, his second of his career. So
Yeah,
good.
he's definitely showed a lot of speed in the last 2 weeks. I mean,
Yep.
he's starting to really get the hang of it from where he came from a year ago. Of wrecking the car the first practice night to he's definitely matured a lot and he's showing it.
Right, and that's what I said that to Danielle too. Just the way he started, you kind of didn't know, and then he's out there making moves with the white flag that you kind of see veterans make, and
Right?
it was good to see. So Caden Thomas, he picks up his first or second consecutive feature win. Isabella Morseman was second, and Courtney Thomas third. So that was our Woodhall Warriors, and then Wicked T Quad C King of the Bull Ring. That was $400 to win, sponsored by Lad Road Auto. And I thought that was a heck of a show.
It
I
was.
really
Yep.
did. And these Quad Cs, they bring a lot of cars, so it took a little while, but it's a heck of a show. And I talked to Wesley Hoteling the next day, and he said that he talked to Blake Snyder, and he said that Blake Snyder was kicking himself when he let Chris Woodard get in front of him up top.
Yep, right. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So last year, these guys, the four cylinders, their quad C's, their King of the Ring got rained out. We didn't never had the opportunity to make it up, so they lost it for the year. This year, it got rained out right off the bat, and we talked about it and said, you know what, we're not going to let them guys, we're not going to let them miss it 2 years in a row. So we rescheduled it. We got it in, and they did. Them guys did not disappoint. They put on a heck of a show.
Hmm. And I gave away a couple of passes. I haven't heard nothing from the guy. I hope they're still up in the booth. If not, I'll have to get a couple more. But I'll have to
Right.
reach out to him who won. I should have the name front and center, but I don't. So Chris Woodard, who seems to have a tendency to pick up these well, not full races, but in these kind of different things, he kind of ends up being the field of the class. He won the Ted Morseman Senior Memorial Dash for Cash, and now he wins the King of the Bull Ring. So I know that he was pretty happy. $400 for that. It's not a pretty good deal.
Oh, it definitely is. Absolutely.
Then we went into autograph night, which was fun. It's fun to have cars on the track, kids looking at them. I
It
don't
was.
have too much to add on that. It's a lot of fun. Joe Birdsell sang happy birthday to our head of security, Brandon Brewer. That was probably the highlight of the night for some people.
I'll tell you what, just walking around them cars, looking at the smiles on them little kids' faces that they were getting autographs and the drivers handing out autograph cards, that they signed. And even some of the young drivers, I have a young driver right here in my shop, who's a rookie this year. And he said to me before he went out, he's like, not a whole lot of sense of me going out for autographs. Nobody knows me. Nobody's going to ask for my autograph. Let me tell you, that kid loved it. He told me afterward, he smiled all the way back up in the pits. He gave away so many autograph cards. He loved it. That's what we need at Woodhull. It's that family atmosphere. Um, yeah, autograph night is a great thing. I really like it. I look forward to it every year.
Right. And as a kid who grew up going to that stuff, I can tell you it doesn't really matter the class of the driver.
No,
You
absolutely
know,
not. No,
kids when I was a kid, I was just as happy to get an autograph from the field filler last place car to the top dog. So
that's right. Because you never know in that last place car how many years down the road when he becomes the superstar, right? I mean,
exactly. Well, like look at what we said about Caden Thomas. So
yeah,
you
absolutely.
never
Yep.
know. He's going in the right direction.
That's right. Definitely. Yep.
All right, so that I think that does it for the I don't know, you got anything you threw out some stuff at intermission. You and Coons, I think Coons Ventures threw out some stuff at intermission.
Yep. Yep. We threw out
Uh,
some, what did we do?
you threw
Some
some
shirts. We gave,
t-shirts and
yeah, some cups. And I think S&D Pools actually threw out some balls too, didn't they? Some beach balls. I think they threw some of them out.
yeah.
We gave away quite a few cups, some gift certificates, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing, my daughter's going to be upset when she realizes she missed the beach ball night.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
Uh,
that was pretty neat. S&D, that I seen they had quite a few beach balls over there.
mhm. So that does it for the intermission session. We'll go into the features. Um, well, the Southern Tier Custom Late Models, they started off the night. There's a caution on lap two. And I guess I got to say it here because I've been calling out all the modified guys that hit each other. And I think Brett Marlatt, you might have got away with one. I think Brett Marlatt got into the back of Brian Knowles and he sent him around and caution came out. But, it is what it is. Not perfect.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Why is it? It seems like every week we have somebody else we have to call out.
Because
But
because it happens at every track every
oh, it
week.
does.
But
Absolutely
I
does.
won't call out one guy and not the other.
That's right.
Everybody's getting it from me.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you, and I believe that you're right. I think he did get away with one. Um, yeah, I didn't talk to either driver afterwards. I didn't get a chance to, but yeah, I'm
Right.
sure
And
that.
the other thing I'll say about that too is I don't always necessarily mean that they did it intentionally or anything malicious behind it. Because I
Oh
think
yeah,
Brett's a great driver and he I don't think he'd ever dump somebody intentionally. And I don't ever mean it like that. I just mean, if you get into somebody and you don't get sent to the back, that's it's getting away with one at the end of the
yeah,
day.
that's right. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
So then we had another caution on lap five, but everything went green after that. And Jake Wilbur, he had his hands full. He held off Brett Marlatt for the remaining 15 laps. Great race. I think Brett threw just about everything at him he could, but without, you know, trying anything a little too dangerous. And so Jake Wilbur picks up his first win at Woodhall, and
Yep.
I believe his second win ever, he said. So, in a,
Yeah, right, right. Yeah. I don't believe he's been doing it all that long, but they have his family, they've been contacting us for the last couple of weeks and they've been wanting to come and try Woodhall out. Just haven't had the opportunity with all the rainouts. So it
right.
was good that they finally were able to make the trip. I believe they said it was a 2.5 hour trip to get to Woodhall. So
Yeah. So Brett Marlette, he finished second. Third was David Pangrazio. That's another guy that if he's
yep,
been to Woodhall, it's few and far between.
right, yep, yep.
Steve LeBaron, he came home in fourth, and Rich McNeil, that's your top five. You know,
I'd like to say a little something about the sixth place car because again, 2 weeks in a row, sixth place car Marshall O'Brien finished fifth last week and then sixth this week. I think they're really starting to get that car figured out a little bit. So that's good.
hmm
It's good to see him get to get running up there. Much deserved credit, for running up there.
yeah,
Um, Hopefully he continues for him.
right. I know I think they took it right to uh, it escapes
No,
me.
no, no, no. They
No,
have a TNT chassis, and they've actually been getting over the phone help from TNT chassis out of Tennessee.
okay, well,
Yep,
going straight to the source.
yep.
But that does it for the Southern Tier Customs late models. The modifieds, Insinger Performance modifieds, they were next up on the card. Well, Stacy Jackson, he broke on lap number two. I think would you say, somebody said a rear end. I guess
Might
I
have
don't
been.
know for sure, but he
Yeah,
broke something. Uh, Ron Cartwright, he took the early advantage and he led. Well, I think he might have led or Joe Ginn, I'm sorry. Joe Ginn led for most of the race. And then Cartwright ended up getting by him. And then caution on lap 21, but Ron Cartwright was able to hold everybody off. Uh, I think I think Dayton Brewer probably wishes that there was 30 lap features at Woodhall because he finished third. And I tell you what, I don't want to take anything away from Ron Cartwright, but Dayton Brewer was on a rail.
he was. You couldn't believe the people that were cheering for him at the end. The way he was running that high side and coming up through the field, we could hear people cheering for him. It was just insane.
Right.
Yeah, I would say, I tell you, you give him another 5 laps, he would have been right up there with Cartwright. It would have
I
been a
think
heck of a
so too.
show. Yep.
So Ron Cartwright, he picks up his first win in 2025, and I asked him, when's the last time he won? And he said, here. He goes, I don't even know. So
Yep.
I can't even tell you how long it's been since he's won at Woodall. So
Right.
nice to see him. And he came the last time we raced, he was with us, and he's probably not a weekly runner, I can't imagine. So it's nice to see him back and him in fine victory lane.
Yep, for sure.
And Joe Ginn finished second. That's a guy who really needed a good run too. He, I know that he was throwing around the idea of not racing this year. Decided to race week one. First time he had it out, wadded the car right up, and so it's nice to see him get a good run and reward that. I guess the drive to continue.
For sure. And
Date.
again, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, I just wanted to bring up on that again is Russell Morseman the fourth, another top 10 for him. There's another young gun he's getting experience, he's getting the seat time, and it's showing. He's improving every week. You
Right.
know,
So finishing third, that was I said this on Facebook. It's the announcer's drive of the week for Dayton Brewer. You don't get anything but a firm pat on the back, but you got it.
that's right.
So
Yep.
Dayton Brewer finished third, Brady Foltz fourth, and Carter Crooker. He kind of gets overshadowed from Dayton Brewer putting on a show there, but he drove from 12th to fifth. So good run there
Yep.
for Carter Crooker too.
Right.
So what we do? Then we got the Joe Wilcox Performance Automatic Street Stocks. They were the next feature event. Trying to find my list here. There they are. And well, Damian Long. What do we got? Why do we got everything out of order here? This is
I'm not
amateur
really
hour on
sure.
my race pass, Terry.
Uh-oh.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Damian Long, he started second, started alongside Mike Williams. Damian Long, he took the lead pretty quickly. Brian Butler, though, he started fourth, and he followed that Damian Long path back up, and I thought Brian Butler and him put on a heck of a battle there for the race lead. I don't think Brian Butler ever was able to quite pull up next to him, but boy, he gave him everything he could.
Yeah, there's another one. Brian Butler. He's definitely got that car figured out. He wins a heat, then he comes out and finishes second in the feature. A little bit of seat time at Woodhull is, this year he struggled a little bit at the beginning of the year, but he's getting her figured out now.
All right. Uh, so there's a caution on lap 10, caution on lap 15. And another thing I'll say too is every class tonight, this week I thought did a phenomenal job with yellows. No,
Yeah.
most, well, maybe one, but most, so, but Damian Long, he was able to hold off Brian Butler for the entire race. And they, like I said, they just put on a great race. Dan Gardner threw his name in there a little bit late. I don't, and those three, they were the class of the field and they put on a great show.
Yep. Yep. I talked to Damien a little bit, and he come down because Batavia got rained out. And as soon as they got rained out, or they weren't racing this week, had the week off, I guess. So he wanted to get down to Woodhull and he wanted to get a little seat time down here. Said he's preparing for the Woodhull 100. He'll be back for that. So that'll be exciting to see what he's got for him when he does come back.
Yeah, that's what he told me in Victory Lane too. So
Yep.
Brian Butler finished second, Dan Gardner third, Dale Hoteling finished fourth, good run for him, and then Clayton McLean finished in fifth. Nice to see Dennis Cummings and Mike Spencer back. You know,
Yep.
they're two guys that I don't think they've raced all year, so nice to see them
Right.
back.
Yeah, and I don't know about Dennis. I don't know. So I seen on Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, Dennis had his car for sale. So, uh, that's kind of how Dennis operates. I think sometimes his car will be for sale, and then next week he'll have another brand new one. So, yeah, hopefully he figures it out and gets back to Woodall again. It'd be good to have him see him come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was actually, I thought he was driving a didn't he buy a IMCA?
Yes, he did,
Yeah.
and he sold that like just a couple weeks after he bought it. He sold it, bought the street stock. So yeah, that's what I mean. He jumps around a little bit. He likes to play around with different cars, and he does well in anything that he jumps into. So
No, I went out of order again, but I guess it's not really that big of a deal. So the second feature out, that was the Hometown Excavation Crate Sportsman. I kind of screwed that up, but you know what? It's not the end of the world.
that's all right. Yeah,
So there's a few early cautions. Caden Lawson, he had the advantage for most of the race. Uh, a few cautions throughout the beginning. Kenny Peoples Jr., he started eighth. He worked a second. He was giving Lawson about everything he can. And then Jacob Trowbridge spun out, right in front of Caden Lawson. I mean, right in front. I don't know if a lap car could spin out that any closer to the leader. And
yep.
somehow Caden Lawson didn't, he didn't make hard contact. I kind of wonder if Kenny Peoples getting into the rear end of him might have actually saved him a little bit because Kenny had nowhere to go either, and he kind of ended up turning him. And I kind of wonder if that saved that front end of the 11 from hitting a lot harder onto Trowbridge.
All right, right.
But, I guess you never really know. So then they come back to green, and well, I guess this is where the calamity ensues. Is they go into turn one, and Caden Lawson spins out, and Kenny Peoples Jr. says that he didn't touch him, and Caden Lawson made it very clear that Caden Lawson thought that Kenny Peoples Jr. touched him. So I can say that all that I know is that we went to the turn three flagger and said, "Hey, did he spin or did the five spin around the 11?" And he said no. And I guess at that's where we can leave it.
Yep. No, absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes it's a struggle like that. They could be that quick, and I'll say this that his car did spin around pretty quick, but there was a couple guys who said that they seen something that there was something broke on his car when they were coming out of turn four. Kenny said that, and there was another driver that also said that he's seen something break. Who knows? I don't really know. It's one of those things. It's racing,
Right.
and it's I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you this. When I was in the announcer's booth, and when they went to green, I looked at my girlfriend who helps me out and Scott Drake. And I said, I think Caden Lawson's car, I think something broke on that car. But again, this is somebody that doesn't really know what they're looking for. I've just watched races and I just call them. I don't actually know if something did break, but to me, the way he came out of turn four, it looked like it broke something. But, I that doesn't mean nothing. Don't take my
Right?
opinion for anything. But
Yeah,
to
right,
me, it did
right.
look like
Mine
something
either.
broke, but you
Yeah,
know. So Kenny Peoples, he ends up taking over the lead. The yellow comes out on lap 22, but I nobody had anything for Peoples other than Lawson. Lawson probably had the car of the night, so tough break for him. But Kenny Peoples Jr. ended up picking up the win for his third of 2025. Tim Guild was second, Brandon Morseman third, Braylon Lawson fourth, and Glenn Trowbridge fifth. There's a couple of guys in Braylon Lawson and Glenn Trowbridge who good finishes for them.
yeah, absolutely. Both well deserved, well needed too.
Hmm.
I think Glenn might have finished fifth last week too. So that might be a pair of top fives for him.
He did. I
Yep,
saw that Scott told me that, but I guess I didn't. I guess I just forgot about that.
yep.
All right, so now we move
There was
into
Well, actually there was a couple other ones in there too. Oh, Colin Wyatt.
yeah,
There's another
Colin
rookie
Wyeth.
in the finishes sixth, and Colton Coots, there's another rookie. He finishes ninth. Some of these young
Mhm.
guns or new guys they're getting it figured out. It's taking them a little time, but they're getting it figured out.
Right. I'm going through the rundown now. Poor Kyle Leach. He went from the penthouse to the outhouse from the heat race to the feature, but
He did.
I don't think he'll mind me saying that. That's the only reason why I said it. So I guess what do we got next here? The Wicked Tees Quad C. I mean, I don't know. No, I don't know what to say anymore. These last two classes, it seems like every week they put on a better show than the one before it.
Yep.
Uh, Chris Woodard, you know what? And I'll say Danielle Morseman too. They both said they've both been hearing how mini stocks can't compete with the front wheel drives, and they run one too. So I guess I don't know
Right.
if they're allowed to say that anymore.
Right. That's right. Absolutely.
But so there's a caution lap for it. Nate Freeland. Nate Freeland, he picked up the feature win the last time out, but I tell you, that is a guy who's had nothing but problems. So I don't know exactly what it is. They were trying to explain to me where the pedal just goes dead. He's got dead pedal, and they were fighting it all last year, and they thought they had it figured out. Luckily enough, it held off when he won the feature a couple weeks ago, but then he got it again this week, and so caution comes out for him, and that's tough to see because a mechanical failure that you just keep working at and think you got it fixed, and then it just doesn't work out is that kind of sucks.
Yep. It does. Yep.
So then there's a caution on lap nine, and then after that, Woodard and Woodard and Blake Snyder would put on a race. I mean, they would weave in and out of lap by through lap traffic side by side almost the whole time. Great race. And then unfortunately, Blake Snyder makes contact with one of those lap cars, and that spins him around and puts him at the back of the field. Chris Woodard at that point was pretty much the class of the field. Caution comes out on lap 15, but Chris Woodard, he picked up the win. So a heck of a night for him, winning the $400 to win King of the Bull Ring and then the feature event. So one heck of a night for Chris Woodard.
It was. And hey, how about this one here? Two females in the top five.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was
again,
gonna get to that, but
again, we have a photo finish. That's the second time in what, last two races, three races. Okay. And it was almost a photo finish between Danielle Thomas and Wesley Otailing. Danielle just barely got him, but
yeah,
Haley Morseman.
do you want to touch on that a little bit about the transponder
Yeah.
and
So
how that all works?
right. So okay. So every car out there has a transponder onto it. Okay. And and in the Woodhull cars, okay, every class except for the IMCA's, they're a little bit different. Every class that runs regular at Woodhull, so your transponder has to be, I believe every class is this way. 12, it has to be 12 inches back from the rear end. Okay, that's where you mount them. It has to be 12 inches. No, no closer than 12 inches. So the transponder, what it does is the loop goes across the track. It's buried underneath the track before the start finish line. And as the car goes over it, it reads that transponder and it automatically scores them. So in the tower, they have a computer that automatically tells them who's in what place at all the times. Now, don't get me wrong, we still do hand score because just in case, but majority of our scoring is all done from these transponders. Now, with that being said, the loop is approximately, and I know this because I researched it here just a couple of weeks ago. So it looks like the loop is about 18 foot before the start finish line. Okay, with that being said, most all your cars that race are all right around 18 foot long. So if when that transponder goes across that, that puts their front bumper pretty close to the start finish line, give or take just a little bit, inches. Now with the quad C's, it's a little bit different because them cars aren't 18 foot long. So it's probably going to put them back. I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say probably a foot and a half. So their bumper is going to be a foot and a half before the start finish line. I'm guessing somewhere right in there. So yeah, and then we go back, and of course, everybody's got videos. Everybody looks at videos and says, hey, this car was ahead of this car, that one. But let me tell you, these videos are terrible. The angle changes everything. I seen a racing incident a couple weeks ago where two people brought me two videos of the same incident, and they were completely different videos. So you really can't go off them. And again, it's a no-brainer with the transponders. It does all the scoring for us. It's when you go across that loop. The only time that loop wouldn't register you is if you were to skate across the infield. It wouldn't score you because I believe it goes like 3 or 4 foot past the inside of the track. So
Right.
yeah, as long as your transponder's working, you're gonna get scored.
Right. And this is what I told Wesley too, and I think that this is what makes sense to me is that whether or not it's the actual flag stand is the line or not, but at least it's consistent. So that
Right.
that way, because my biggest thing is that way, if you have, so say somebody is running fourth, but you score them for third, and then they, after the caution, they go up to win the race. Well, you should have restarted fourth. So then and I just think if you just go by the transponder, then everything's going to be the same because nobody's going to go back and look and see if somebody was at the start, like who was ahead when the caution came. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
And
Yep.
I just think that way it keeps it at the same spot consistently. And yeah, I do understand, and I saw that a few people put on there about the front wheel drives and the rear wheel drives just being a little smaller, and the car sizes being a little different. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I figured that the best thing you could do is just go off of the transponder and then say that's what that way there's no arguing it. It's just what it is. I
Yep.
mean, you know,
Yeah. I believe, if I remember right, a lot of these Mustangs in that class are like 17 foot or better anyway. So they're not that far off.
right.
And now I haven't had the opportunity to talk to Wesley this week yet, but I do know I did see somewhere, I think that he posted that he measured his transponder and it was back a little too far. So I think he had to remount his, move it to get it where it needed to be. Now, where it
Mhm.
wasn't illegal, but it was back too far, so it wasn't scoring him like what he wanted. You know what I mean? He needed to move it ahead a little bit. So,
Right. Well, it is what it is. I mean,
yep.
it was a great race, and I know that I talked to Wesley, and I saw Danielle put the same thing that it was they both had a great time racing each other, and it was clean and it was fun and it was up on the wheel racing, and they did a great job. And I will go out and say that after last year, I'm very proud of both of them that that it was the way it was, and I'm happy because that's the way it should be.
Oh, absolutely. That you look at that whole class, they're having fun again. The class is growing. It's
Exactly.
great. It's great to see it right now. It is.
Yeah. All right, so Danielle Morseman, she finishes second, Wesley Hoteling third. Now, this is a young lady I want to touch on a little bit. Kaylee Morseman finishing fourth. Her best finish ever in a Wicked Tees Quad C. I'll even say just an adult car. She won some Warrior features earlier, but that's her best finish in the adult division. Great run by her. She's got a lot of talent. Her last name's Morseman, so you know they got talent and they're going to get around. They got the equipment to do it.
Yep, that's for sure.
And Joe Gillespie, well, he finished second. He's always fast too. And Blake Snyder, I do want to mention, he did rebound for a sixth place. So even with bringing out the caution there later in the race, he still rebounded for sixth. So and that car's
Yep,
a
and
rocket.
right, yep. And I heard today he was saying that he puts all the blame on himself. He picked the wrong line and he committed to it, and at the last second decided it was the wrong line, but it was too late. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, I think he's a relatively younger guy too, right?
yep,
Um,
he is. Yep,
yeah, yeah. So he's still learning. But so
yep.
that's your Wicked Tees Quad C. I think I touched on just about everything I wanted to on them. All right. Now we got the Lad Road Auto Hobby Stocks, and these are the guys I'll pick on a little bit. I I mean, it just seemed like a train wreck. It was great racing up front, but it just seemed like it was just a train wreck with each other. I don't know if it was and I know what it was. It's Woodhull kind of being a tight track, and I'll say Dylan Phillip, Joe Birdsell, Brandon Conklin, and Scott Brown, each and every one of them want to win, and they're big cars to race that tight with everybody not giving an inch. And, I don't think anybody meant to take anybody out. I just think it's hard when you got that competitive of guys and that small of a space and big of a car.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. These guys, yeah, it seems like every week we have one class that just struggles to get through. And it was definitely the hobby stocks turn on Saturday night. That's for sure. They definitely they struggled just to get green laps in.
hmm so we got here. Well, I guess like I said, just kind of caution after caution. Dylan Phillip, Joe Birdsell, and Brandon Conklin and Scott Brown, they raced pretty much as close as you could race for probably about what 5, 6 laps, and then it just seemed like attrition really started to take him out. I know Birdsell broke, Conklin broke, and then I think at that point we had to restart, and Dylan Phillip was able to get ahead of Scott Brown, and then that's just kind of where they fell into place.
Yeah, there was quite a few DNFs in this race. That's for sure.
Yes, there was over half the field looking at it.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, again, hats off to Scott Brown in the 20 car. Think wasn't this his first time back this year, Woodall, or was he there
Yep.
last week?
Yeah,
And
I don't know if he likes the nickname, but that's who I call him, Fireball Scooter Brown.
yeah. Well,
Yep.
hey, he finished fourth, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, he finished fourth. I mean, that's a good run for him on his first night back.
Right. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, he had a pretty scary incident there with the car catching on fire last year. So, and luckily
Yep,
he wasn't okay. I wouldn't use the nickname if he wasn't. But uh,
yep.
so, so Dylan Phillip, he picks up the win, and he kind of, I don't know if he really needed one. He's fast every week, but I think he really wanted one after he lost the race last time by about as close as you can lose a race. I think he really
Yep.
wanted this one. And then Scott Brown finished second. Jason Warner was third. Good run for him because I know that the previous run he had before he didn't even get to the green flag before he was in the front stretch wall. So good run for him. It's good to see.
Yeah, and he was pretty sore most of the week too from that wreck. So yeah, he's starting to heal up a little bit, and yeah, definitely well deserved good run for him too.
Absolutely. And so Scooter Brown finishes fourth, and this is the guy that everybody that he told me I had to mention it. Mike Palmer, licensed to thrill. Mike Palmer finished fifth. And he said he finished in front of Brandon Conklin, Joe Birdsell, the Palm Pup, Cannon Palmer. So he wants it known that he did finish ahead of these guys.
you know, them guys are all good friends. Good group of guys. I talked to Brandon Conklin today, and I asked him. I said, "So how bad's your car?" He said, "Well, I got about $1,000 worth of damage that Joe Birdsell gave to me." So I don't know. I don't. I don't want to get nothing started between him and Joe Birdsell. I'd like to hear Joe's side of it, but and again, I know they're great friends. They hang out with each other. They work on each other's cars all the time. So yeah, they're a lot of fun. And again, this class, there's a lot of good guys in there that just they're all good friends. They'll help each other out
Mhm.
anytime, and it's nice to see. It's fun to watch.
It is. I just thought it was funny because I went up into the pits to talk to him after. And if you're ever looking for a group to go up in the pits afterwards, that is the group to go to because boy, are they fun.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. That's for sure.
Yeah. And actually, I got to give them a little bit of credit because I think they went had to go and rescue Joe's wife too. I think they
They
were
did.
pretty much up all night. Yeah, I think she broke down somewhere and they had to load up or get the car unloaded and take the trailer and go and pick her in the car up and bring her back home. So that's
You're
a
right. I may or may not have heard that she might have ran out of gas was the problem with the car, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But
well, I was told she broke down, but
oh,
I'll
well,
keep it at that. Okay.
needless to say, they didn't get home until Sunday at like noon from the races on Saturday night. So, yeah.
And I do want to touch on Mike Kerr. Mike Kerr, his first night out with a hobby stock, he finished sixth. So it's nice to have him with a car. I know that's Marcus's dad, for those of you that don't know. And then
Yeah,
Reese Hackett, tough break for him. I don't know for sure, but I have to imagine he blew a motor. So
yep, I think so. I haven't talked to him yet this week yet either. Usually I do, but I'm pretty sure there was something fatal there.
I do too. So hopefully he can get that thing back together and, you know, get him back out there and get going.
Yep, yep.
Well, Terry. Well, now we got. Oh gosh, what am I doing here? I'm a mess today. I'll tell you one thing. I not we're at the halfway point, so I think we gotta start touching on some points here.
Yeah.
I think we gotta. I
Right.
don't know. I don't exactly know when you're supposed to start because I think the modifieds only have four races in, but I imagine that this is the point we're halfway.
I think you're right.
So for the Insinger Performance Modifieds, Carter Crooker, he's actually your point leader, which is good to see. He picked up his first ever modified feature win this year. Driving for his own team last year, I believe he was a rookie driving for Herbie Wright. Is that right? Was he a rookie last year?
No, I'm not sure that
No.
he was rookie status or not. I don't know that he had to race 5 races to
Maybe
be a
he got
rookie.
a maybe he got a few in at the end of the year before.
Right. Yeah, I'm not. Let's see
Okay.
here. It doesn't list him as a rookie. So I'm really not sure to be honest with you. I guess that's something we're gonna have to look into.
Right. Well, no, I know he's not a rookie this year, but I wondered about last year if he was. I couldn't remember if he was a rookie last year, driving for
Right.
Herbie, right? But either way,
Yeah. And I don't think he was. So if he
okay.
wasn't, he should be a rookie this year, right? He
No,
would
no,
be.
no, 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 because he either was last year or he's definitely not this year.
Well, if he had less than 4 races, then it doesn't count. So if he had, if he
Oh,
raced,
he raced almost the whole year.
oh, okay, all right,
Yeah,
okay,
he
okay, my bad.
no,
Yep.
that's
So
all right. And then 10 points out, and I tell you, this was a guy you better watch for, Brady Foltz, because it seems like I don't know what it is, but every year it seems like when the weather gets hot, so does Brady Foltz. It just seems that way to me, and now the weather's starting to turn. If you've been outside tonight, the weather's starting to turn, and I think that 88's coming for the top spot once again.
yeah, you could be right. He does. He does. You could never count him out in that Herbie Wright car.
No. And then you got th a three-way tie for third, fourth, and fifth. That's Dayton Brewer, Aiden Grover, and Russell Morseman. And Dayton Brewer, he's found something in that car too. Aiden Grover, he is right on the cusp. He's gonna win a race.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, he's gonna do it. I don't know if it'll be this year, but he's gonna win a race very soon.
man. And see, I keep saying every week he's my pick this week because I keep saying it's going to happen. He's right there. He definitely has the car to do it.
Right.
If he can
And
just catch a little bit of good luck.
right. And Russell Morseman too. He'll win a race by the end of the year as well.
Yep.
So Hometown Excavation Crate Sportsman. Once again, I hate to say it, Kenny Peoples Jr. show. Three feature wins out of what, five?
Yeah.
So he's got a 28 point lead. Tim Guild second, Quentin Buchanan and Glenn Trowbridge are tied for third and fourth. I haven't looked at these a while. Good for Glenn Trowbridge. That is a
It is absolutely.
I don't mean this negatively. I just did not expect to see him up there.
Yep. But then, two top fives really help that out a lot. But
Hmm.
here's something else I want to touch on. So you say that Kenny Peoples Jr. wins three races out of five. But yet Tim Guild is only 28 points behind him. So
I
Tim's
know.
Tim's running right there. Tim's not that far out.
No. And then Brandon Morrisman, that rounds out your top five. So there's that. Southern Tier Customs Rush Crate Late Models, Brett Marlatt, 23-point lead over Rich McNeil. Uh, 30 points back in third, Marshall O'Brien. 31 points back in fourth, Steve LeBaron. And tied for fifth and sixth with Joe Layfield and Ricky Laux. Uh,
Very, yep. I mean, it's a solid class. It is. Any one of them guys can win on any given night, pretty much.
yeah, and they're going to have some outsiders come and steal some checkered flags, I think, too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely will. I'm sure we'll see Austin Allen will be back. I'm sure,
Yeah,
and Bryce Davis. You never know when he's going to show up with it. Yeah,
yeah. Lad Road Auto Hobby Stocks. Well, see, I'm looking at it and it says Dylan Phillip and Brandon Conklin are tied. I can't imagine that's the case. So
right, right,
I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't know the official gap, but I think Dylan Phillip is your official point leader, but Brandon Conklin not too far behind him.
right. I'm sure. Yep.
And these two are gonna battle all year. I mean, it's gonna be a. I mean that could be end up being the closest battle at the track.
Oh yeah, and again, don't count out Scott Brown. He's coming, and he'll be
Mhm.
there too at the end. There's no doubt in my mind.
Right. He's currently third. Reese Hackett's fourth. So hopefully Reese can get that motor put back together. Or hopefully that's not what it was so that he could stay in position. Mike Palmer is fifth. One name you'll realize we're missing is Joe Birdsell. Joe Birdsell had about as bad of a start to the year as you could have, so he's trying to climb his way back up.
Yep, that's definitely for sure. He has struggled all year. I keep telling him it's the yellow car, but he did win a feature with it. So yeah, maybe I'll talk him into getting that thing rewrapped, and we'll go with a different color on it before the year's over.
Yeah, I wonder why. Yeah, I'm sure there's nothing nefarious there, huh? I'm sure you're not looking for nothing. I think it should
That's
be.
right.
I think it should be your fault.
Well, he'll probably tell you that it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Joe Wilcox, Performance Automatic Street Stocks. Um, Dan Gardner, your point leader, which that should surprise nobody. Dan Gardner's about as good as you can get at Woodhull.
Yep.
Actually, all three of these, four of these guys, five of the Dan Gardner, your point leader, Clayton McLean, 5 points back. Teddy Morseman, 6 points back. Bradley Morseman, 11 points back. And Rookie of the Year contender, Dale Hoteling, 17 points back. So
Yep.
I mean, that might be as close as you can get.
Joe, did you happen to notice Clayton McLean? He got a new hauler. Did you notice that?
Well, yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, pretty nifty little thing here. I don't even know what you call it. It's like half toter. It's a camper that the race car fits in the back end of it. It's actually kind of neat.
That's what I'd always want.
Yeah, he said it doesn't get very good fuel mileage, but he
I
loves to
couldn't
drive it
imagine.
around.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah,
That's a lot to haul around.
it is. Absolutely is. Yeah.
So then we got the Wicked Tees Quad C, which if you've been to Woodhull at all this year, Blake Snyder being in the top spot should surprise nobody. Wesley Hoteling second, Nate Freeland third, Joe Gillespie fourth, and Danielle Morseman is fifth. Uh, I guess did Chris Woodard miss a week?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Okay.
he wasn't here last week.
Okay, so I was expecting to see his name up there, but he missed a week, so that would be why. So
Yeah,
you know that's and I hear what Wesley told me this week that apparently he's got the big smoke coming.
yeah, that's what I've heard.
So we'll see. And Nate Freeland too, if that guy could ever get the car to just give up with the mechanical failures and keep on going, he'll be up there to contend too.
Yep.
And Danielle Morseman, Joe Gillespie, they're gonna win more races by the end of the year. So that's gonna be a tight one as well. We also got the Woodhull Wicked Tees War. Actually, I should probably hop down here for the IMCA's.
Yep.
Uh, well, what do they got? 2 of 5? Are they 2 of 5 in now
Yeah.
or?
Yep, two of
Okay.
five.
So 205, Jacob Ingham. He's your point leader. He's got 8 points on Jacob McConnell and James Lamphere. Now, do you think this is right?
Yeah, I'm not sure on that, I
Yeah,
guess.
I'm not sure if this is right either because I think James Lamphere's won both of them. So I'd have a
Right,
hard time believing that he's 10 points out of the top spot if he's won both races.
right, yeah. Um,
Let me take a quick little peek in here and see if I can figure out
yeah, I
what we
don't. It
got.
says that Jake McConnell's got two top fives.
Yeah, Jacob Ingham, he's got two top fives, two top tens, 29 and 30 points. And then let's hop over. This is great audio for the people listening, I'll tell you.
Got
Not Jacob McConnell. Who do I want here? James Lamphere. That's who I want. So he had 30.
one top five and two top tens. I thought he won too. So you know
Boy,
what? We have struggled a little bit getting the IMCA registration and linked up with the my race
my,
pass. So there could be some technical difficulties here. I guess maybe I need to this week go in and look at this, I guess. And
no, you know who it is? It's Keith Lamphere. That's who it is, not James. Now I don't know why he's all the way down at 10th, but for some reason he doesn't have points for May 10th. No, I'm not sure why. I think he might be the only one, but it says here that he finished first in the feature and finished first in the heat, but he's got 0 points. So we're gonna have to go in and look at this. But Keith Lamphere, definitely your point leader. That's
yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Definitely. That's where I think that's where we're gone. So I guess we're gonna
right.
wait on that. We might get the bugs worked out of that real quick, and we'll maybe talk about that just the next time that we got them at the racetrack.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to.
Yeah, and then so we'll just move on quickly to the Wicked Tees Warriors. Really, I think we've only had about three of them consistently.
Yep.
So Courtney Thomas is your point leader. Isabella Morseman is second, 16 points out, and Caden Thomas is third, 22 points out. They've all won features at the end of the year, and I think this could go almost any way.
Yes, it definitely could. Yeah, I mean, if Caden keeps on, it won't be long. He'll be catching his sister, I believe. Could be for an
No,
interesting Sunday dinner, I guess.
I wonder if they're gonna start. Wonder if they're gonna start fighting over at the dinner table.
Right?
Danielle's gonna have to try to keep them in line,
That's right. Yep.
or else Andy's gonna have a lot of stuff to fix.
Yeah, right.
So I guess that does it for the race recap and the points. I do want to touch a little bit just on next Saturday night. Unless you got anything from this past week, Terry. You got anything from?
Nope, I got nothing from last week. I'm good right now.
All right. So next Saturday night is the Jim Williams Memorial iPyro Fireworks Show. That's sponsored by BH Log Hauling TP's Concrete. This is the busiest we are. Kenny Shupp actually he messaged me and he said, "Good luck next week. You're gonna need it," because
Yep.
it just seems like that kind of night. So
Yep.
and I've worked here long enough to know that it usually ends up being that kind of night. But
Everybody wants to win on fireworks night.
yeah, well, absolutely. There's a lot of people that get to hear about your sponsors when you win.
That's right. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. It's great
Uh,
for sponsorships.
Absolutely. So then I already said that. Yeah, that's sponsored by BH Log Hauling TP's Concrete. I do want to mention real quick though that this Friday from 1 to 5 that we are going to have advanced ticket sales at the racetrack. I don't know exactly how. I would assume you just show up at the racetrack and we'll figure it out from there. But
Yes, they'll have a table set up right out front, the doors. And I believe it's going to be Nikki that's going to be running it, and she'll be there selling the tickets.
yeah, and at that time too, it's also $7. Well, it's $15 for the ticket. I don't want to get that wrong. $15 for the tickets. I believe it's 13 for or I believe it's 12. I think my dad told me 12 for the seniors and the youth, and then 7 and under are free. Um, I
Where else
believe.
can you spend? Where else can you spend $15 to get a front row seat to the largest fireworks show in Steuben County. Where you just can't do it. At $15 is cheap. But I'll tell you,
Exactly.
Joe, if you do show up there on Friday, you'll see me in line at 1 o'clock because I'm definitely getting my reserved seat because I know how packed the place gets, and I will definitely have my seat.
Yeah, so yeah, that's $7 to reserve a seat. We'll let you go in there, we'll let you pick out your seat, $7. It is your responsibility to tape it down. I think most people go with the blanket with duct tape over it, or I think some people even just go with the duct tape with lines across, you know what I mean? Um,
Yep.
so just kind of however you want to do it. It's if it comes up and it's gone, I don't think we can do much about it. It's your responsibility. So please, we don't want anybody to have to deal with that. We want you all to get there, get your seat that you already picked out. And we don't want to be bothered with it either because we got a lot going on that night as it is.
Right.
Um,
And again, we ask too that you don't reserve a seat that there's a name on that seat because
yeah,
if there some people have season seats there. If you reserve somebody's season seat at the time of the races, then people reserve seats are going to win out. You're going to lose your seat and then not have one. So be very careful not to reserve a seat that has a name on it, please.
right. Oh yeah. Yeah, and we'll definitely move you. So and then so that's this upcoming weekend. And that's I mean, like I said, that's the one to that's the biggest one we got. I think we usually pack that place. So if you're going to come, get there early. I'd have to imagine that we're going to have a couple of modifieds out front to take a peek at.
Yep.
Just guessing. I don't know for sure. Maybe not because we got so many people in there. But I
Mhm.
uh I guess I'm just assuming that Brad's cards would be out there as he's the
Right.
sponsor on the night. Maybe
He
not.
may
I
even,
don't know. And then I
yep.
do want to remind everybody that July 4th weekend. Who is it? What is that? The 5th, Terry?
Uh,
Yep, July 5th. So July
yep.
5th, we are off. We're off every year that week. Um, I think the idea is, and actually this is before Nicky and Terry owned it. I think Woodhull's been off that week since I can remember. Just allow the employees and everybody, spend the July 4th weekend with their families and, you know, not have to worry
Yep.
about racing that weekend. And then after so that kind of gets us through. And then after that, we just come back with a regular show, I believe, if I can see here. If I can see what we got here. Yep, regular show with the Joe Wilcox Performance King of the Bull Ring for the street stocks.
That should be very interesting too.
hmm hmm Um, now did we figure anything out about the late models yet, Terry? I hate to put you on the spot. Are we still working
Yeah,
on?
no, I was going to ask you that. I thought we picked a date, but I can't remember it without looking at my book. I can't remember what we picked. I thought we did, but I'll have to go back in and check on that. Maybe we'll post it this week.
Okay, yeah. So I guess that kind of, and then we got the Christmas in July bicycle giveaway. And I do want to say, I know there's racers that listen to this. If you guys want to donate a bike, let us know. If you want to
Yeah,
help us out with donating a bike or anybody, you know what? I'll throw it to anybody if that wants to help out. Um, you
yeah,
know,
absolutely, Joe. So you want to touch on that a little bit? That so when you spend the money, I can't remember how much it is. I think there's different tiers, but I think it's around $100. Okay, when you spend that $100, they're going to give you a stocking, a Christmas stocking, and you can fill that Christmas stocking with anything you want. If you're a race team, hey, it might be a race hat, it might be a race shirt, might be some stickers, or maybe even some autograph cards or some pictures. And then you're going to put them on that bike, and then you get when that little kid gets that bike that night, they're going to get that stocking with all your stuff into it. Now, I'm going to call these drivers out a little bit here because there's not a lot of them stepping up just yet. And I want to see which class is going to sponsor the most. And I can tell you right now, the hobby stock class, I know Brandon Conklin stepped up today and bought two. So, let's see which class has the biggest supporters up for us.
yeah. Well, that's the best way to do it. You know, get a little friendly competition going between these guys.
Right, absolutely. Yep.
And then we're
It's
gonna,
all for a good cause. I mean,
yeah, right. It's all to give a
yep.
kid a bike, you know.
Yep. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we give away a lot of bikes. I can't remember the actual number last year, but it was a lot of them. I can tell you that.
Yeah. And then we do have, and then to wrap up the month of July, we got the ESS Sprint Tours in the house, along with the IMCA for the Sean Elias Memorial. No crate sportsmen are going to be there that night. So,
Yeah,
That's
Joe.
going to be a
Hey,
jam-packed show as well.
Joe, I hate to back you up there, but I've got it to. We kind of forgot something on the fireworks night, and the only reason is because
Oh,
I'm
you're
sitting here.
right.
The only reason is 'cause I'm sitting here and I'm getting hungry. It's almost my supper time. But I can tell you, as of right now, I can smell that chicken barbecue that the Woodhull Fire Department is going to put on fireworks night. Uh, Make sure you get there early to get your chicken barbecue before it's gone. I know I'm going to get mine.
I get one every year. I think I've
Yep,
gotten a chicken barbecue at fireworks night for probably the last, what, 20 years. I was probably 10 years old the last time I can remember. So,
yep. Oh, it's well worth it. It's always good chicken, that's for sure.
absolutely. I think that, well, that gets us through the month of July, and then we can kind of keep on moving if we, but I do want to shout out to make your plans right now. August 6th, that is a Wednesday. That is Woodhall's honoring Alice night. 5,500 to win for the, modifieds. And I can't read that for how much to win for the Crate Sportsman, and 600cc modified is going to be there as well. So that's a show you don't want to miss. So if you got to take, I know my dad works evenings. If you got to take the night off, make sure that you get the night off for that one. That's August 6th.
That's for sure. If I remember right, isn't that the Crate Sportsman race? I believe it's 2,500 to win for Crate Sportsman, but isn't that the night that we all of a sudden at the last minute had a bunch of people throwing money in the Crate Sportsman race, and it
No, that
ended
was
up
last
being
year at the end of the year. Last year,
oh, okay,
yeah, last year we didn't run them that race. We ran late
late
models and
models.
street
Okay,
stocks.
all right,
Yep.
okay, my bad. Yep.
No,
But
that's all
again,
right.
them 600cc modifieds are back in town, and they're always fun to watch at Woodhall too. So
Yeah,
usually
right.
put on a good show.
Well, I think I saw somebody put on Facebook that Woodhall's the perfect track for them, and I would have to agree because
Yes, it is.
they got all the room they need there, but not too much room.
Right, right. Yep. No, absolutely.
Well, Terry, you got anything else, or are we ready to
Um,
wrap this thing?
Well, actually, I want to bring up the Woodhull 100. Talk about that again. Have you noticed the signs down front on the fence? Every week, it keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Get a hold of Joe Wilcox if you want to sponsor some that night. It looks like this is going to be one huge race. It's going to be a huge payout for the street stocks. They're racing 100 laps. If you spend the money, you get a yard sign with your business on it, and it's going to be displayed down front all year long. I believe, and again, I think there's different tiers in that too. There's a gold sponsor, silver sponsor. There's a couple different options in there that you could choose what's best for you. But Joe has done a wonderful job. Joe and Gene have done terrific with this race this year, and they keep just adding to the purse every week. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, right. It really goes to show you how, just what he means to the racing community to have raced so much more than the other guy that did it last year. So, no, but seriously, it does show that what Joe kind of, because if you're, or I think if you're a racer in this area, you know Joe Wilcox, and you know that, and you know that all this money will go to the driver's pocket. He's not the kind of guy that's ever going to pocket any of it. And I think it goes to show you the amount of sponsorship that he's got for a September race in June already. Just the kind of guy and the people that they are, and this is a street stock class. It's kind of not really. I know they have them out there, but they really don't get the long distance extra money paying races that some of the other classes do. So just
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know of any other street stock race around that's 100 laps, let alone. I don't think the crate sportsmen have any. I don't think late models do around here. The modifieds probably do here and there,
right,
but for a street stock race, that's pretty phenomenal. For a street stock race, that's a long race, and there's a lot that can go wrong with these full fendered cars.
right. It is, and I always thought that 100 laps was too many, but then I talked to these street stock guys, and they all seem to love it. So I guess I'll take the L on that one.
Yep, right,
I
right.
have no problem doing. Won't be the first or the last. So,
Oh yeah, yep, absolutely.
well, so I think that probably. I guess you got anything else, or is that it?
I don't. I think that's all I've got for this week.
All right, so well, once again, I do want to give a big shout out to Southern Tier Customs, S&D Pool Specialists, and Coons Ventures LLC, as they were this past week's presenting sponsors. And we can't thank our sponsors enough. None of it would be possible without them. And I do want to remind everybody to please like and subscribe on YouTube, rate 5 stars. If you listen to just the audio version, give it a download. It actually helps quite a bit. Um, that's Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Woodhall Raceway on Facebook and Woodhall Raceway 64 on TikTok. Terry, I thank you very much. I'm glad you could finally get into the air conditioning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm here for the night now, I believe.
Well, hey, you have a good rest of your evening.
Okay, you do the same, Joe. Thank you.
Yep. See you later.
Bye.